When I was around 8 years old, I couldn't sleep one night and I started watching television and I accidentally stumbled upon Child's Play 3. I only saw a murder scene that happens around the middle of the movie and it never truly left my mind since. Welcome to Vanessa Jupiter's Sitting Room. Today I am talking about how horror movies have made me more sensitive. This story that I just shared about Child's Play 3, it's not an uncommon narrative at all. I know a lot of people who talk about why they don't watch horror movies because they saw this one scene or this one movie when they were a child and ever since never want to think about the genre again. Simultaneously, there's also a narrative that happens a lot in the media of how seeing extremely violent films would make us desensitized towards violence. I'm a huge fan of what I'm going to be calling extreme cinema. Gore, very, very bloody. I prefer when it's super realistic. I just really like films that often don't even have any plot, that just are people being dismembered and brutalized. There are two in particular that I see a lot of people on Twitter mostly talking about how they are made clearly only for dude edgelord type bros who want to prove that they aren't affected by anything. The August Underground series and the Slaughtered Vomit Doll series. I like both of those. They are just films that pose as snuff and that show us images of people being brutalized. I truly do not identify as a dude edgelord at all. I find this perspective that people who enjoy these types of movies are all edgelords who want to prove to everyone that they are not affected by anything to be really reductive. Watching extreme films for me isn't at all trying to prove to myself or to anyone that I can take anything. If I wasn't affected by extreme violence, I wouldn't seek it. I think that horror movies, more than any other genre, is really concerned with the death of individuals. In the sense that death in horror, it is always the center, or usually, it is usually the center of our interest. Horror movies are violent because violence is violent. Most horror movies want to disturb us or at least scare us. And in order for us to be scared, we need to put ourselves in the place of the victim. The idea of horror necessitates sensitivity. It doesn't erase it. I want to use a specific case study on what exactly I mean here. I can really easily create a timeline of how I engage with a specific type of violence in media. From here on out, I'm going to be talking about sexual violence in media, also making allusion to sexual violence in the real world. Click away if this is likely to bother you. I'm going to be using the word rape multiple times. Just be aware what you're about to get into if you choose to stay. Unsurprisingly, as someone who really likes extreme cinema, I have seen more than my fair share of rape scenes. Particularly not only because I like extreme cinema, but also because I often seek horror movies made by women. And unfortunately, rape is a very pressing reality for women, so it is unsurprising that a lot of women end up tackling the subject in movies that they make. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I liked seeing the rape scenes or that they didn't bother me at all or that I wasn't ever affected by them. I was. That was part of the appeal of them. But I never really needed a warning for them before. I knew that they could come at any moment, and if they happened, I would feel affected by it, but I would be like, it is what it is. It happens. We see a rape scene, and it's part of the horror viewing experience. Sometimes it's fine. It's fine. Everything changed when I went to watch this film called Holiday. It is a very unique movie that made me question the placement of so many scenes of sexual violence in media. To the point where nowadays I'm even upset by just like sexual violence being used as a plot point without a massive scene or something. It's Holiday truly truly changed my perspective on the whole thing. But at the center of it, part of the reason why Holiday is the way that it is because there is possibly the most brutal rape scene that I have ever seen. It wasn't Holiday by itself. 2019 was a year where I infamously ended up watching more movies in theaters that had rape scenes than movies that didn't. I was really overexposed to rape scenes in 2019. So I started actually wanting people to warn me about rape scenes, and I started actually wanting to avoid them. And I started actually feeling worse when watching rape scenes. Just because I had seen so much rape on screen, suddenly I saw myself not wanting to see it anymore. Rape scene after rape scene made me more sensitive towards rape scenes. I was a massive fan of the debut feature of director Jennifer Kent, The Babadook. So I really wanted to watch The Nightingale. I knew that there was going to be one of the most brutal rape scenes out there in it. What I didn't know is that there would be 2 rape scenes in it. Without going in too deep, I think that the framing of the second rape scene is extremely questionable, to say the least. But I'm not here to just discuss whether The Nightingale is problematic or not, but rather talk about the fact that there were 2 rape scenes in The Nightingale. My reaction to each of them was, in the first one, I tuned out. I pretend that it wasn't happening. For the second rape scene, I was fully in it, but I wasn't just in it. I was also thinking of the rape scene from Holiday. I was also thinking of the rape scene from Irreversible. I was also thinking of the rape scene from The Last House on the Left. I was also thinking of the rape scene from Midsommar. I was also thinking of the rape scene from I Spit on Your Grave. And the other rape scene from I Spit on Your Grave. And the other rape scene from I Spit on Your Grave. I was thinking of all of them while still experiencing that one rape scene. Seeing something that reminds me of previous experiences leads me back to those previous experiences. It's not like I needed someone to hug me and tell me that everything was going to be okay afterwards. It would have been fine if I needed to, but I didn't. Seeing rape scene after rape scene in my life hasn't made me less sensitive to it. I feel like I underwent some journey with these characters. And to some extent, because I was empathizing with them as they were going through it, I find it easier to empathize with real victims in the real world because I understand better the violence of sexual violence. Seeing horror movies makes me understand violence in a much more empathetic way. Hi, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you feel like horror has made you more sensitive as well, or if you are one of the people who actually feel like you become more desensitized to violence because of violent images. And whether that's something that you actually crave. If you maybe like someone here is a horror fan who actually likes watching horror movies precisely to be less sensitive to violence. Like, is that the case? Are you one of those people? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, tag me on your Instagram stories, quote me on your dissertation thesis. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Love, Vanessa Jupiter.